Stanford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named Rocky. He finishes his speech and he goes, "Hit it, Rock!" And Set It Off by Boosie Badass played. As a young white man, it was my first time hearing that song, Set It Off. Yeah, we finna set it off. You heard me? I'm finna put you in the trash bag. Tired of all these knowing me right now, for real. You wanna talk shit? You wanna run your mouth? You want some gangster strut your mother in the house? We'll set this jaw. Yeah. And that was my first time hearing Set It Off. At Stanford University, it was the third or fourth week of camp. We were about where teams are right now. Right before the season, everybody's pissing and moaning. We had a different coach come up and give a motivational speech in the afternoon each day. He was our running backs coach at the time by the name of Derek Foster. Coach Foster came up there, toughness and pushing through. He got real razzed up as his speech progressed. We had a video coordinator named... Yes, sir. Let's get it. Yes. Let me move this. Yes. We are back. We're back. And it's a good one. It's a good one right here. Listen to that beat drop with that 808. And that's how we're going to come today, baby. We got to be of the mindset where if an Indian guy at a gas station tells you there's a deal on Zins, but there's really no deal on them, and you pay $100 because you thought you would get a deal on 3 rolls, and you leave the gas station feeling befuddled, what do? You go back, you grab your nuts, and you grab that motherfucker by the collar and you say, "Run me my money." We had a deal. And I bought all these Zin cans and you ain't really give me no deal. You know what I'm saying? You got to go get your money back. That happened to a buddy of mine this weekend in College Station, Texas. Guy told him he was getting a deal on Zin, so he bought 3 rolls, spent a bunch of money. And then he looked at the receipt. He's like, "I ain't getting no fucking deal." I said, "Go back there, grab him by the collar. Get your money back." But that's kind of what happened. He didn't get his money back. He puckered up a little bit. I watched the interaction. And that's all right. You know what I mean? The Bengals kind of puckered up too. Shedeur Sanders didn't pucker up. Let me tell you guys what I'm in the jar about today. What I'm in the jar about. I'm in the jar about the Bengals again. I'm in the jar about people thinking Shedeur Sanders is the truth after one good football game. I'm in the jar about that. I want to see Shedeur Sanders succeed. I really do. But to compare him, I'm seeing the media comparing him to, Deshaun Watson when he was in his prime and a bunch of other great players. And I just can't. Look, it's one game. He played great. It was one of the worst teams in the league. I'm in the jar about that. We're going to get in the jar about a couple other things, but I'm mostly in the jar about the Bengals. Clown show. The clown show that is the Cincinnati Bengals. They lay down week in, week out. You got players that are concerned about me. You got players from the Cincinnati Bengals tweeting a SpongeBob gif because they made one great play. Geno Stone got a pick 6 yesterday. And he's been getting shat on, and rightfully so, because he's been terrible. Consistently. Been terrible consistently. Guy, blind squirrel finds a nut yesterday. Geno Stone gets it thrown to him right from Drake May's hand. Runs it back. Bengals take a 10-0 lead, but they end up blowing it with scared play calling, lack of execution. The run game, this is the worst part yesterday about the Bengals' loss. The two areas of the game that the Bengals have been criticized on most this season have been at the start of the year, the run game, and the defense. So the Bengals defense, they only give up 19 points. Defense played great. They had a series where New England starts on their own 9. Within 3 plays, they are on the Bengals 5. 85 yards in 3 plays. The Patriots covered. And they get down to 4th and goal on the 1, and they go for it. The New England does. And Cincinnati stuffs them. Sticks their heels in the ground and sticks them. Stuffed on a 4th and 1. Or sorry, the second 4th and 1 they stuffed. The first 4th and 1, New England threw it. And Dax Hill gets a PI. And I'm sitting there thinking, this is the most Bengals shit I've ever heard. Get a stop. This defense that can never get a stop. They get a stop on 4th and 1, and then they get called for PI. 1st and goal from the half-yard line. And this defense, this Bengals defense, stuffs them 3 plays in a row. 4th and goal again on the same series on the 1. Maybe inside of the 1. And this defense, I don't know what got into them yesterday. This defense, for the 2nd, 4th, and goal on the 1 in this drive, I believe it was a 3rd quarter drive, gets a stuff. And they stick their hats in there. I was flabbergasted listening to that shit. Absolutely fine. When has this defense all season behaved like that? They haven't. And they still find a way with a pick 6 from Geno Stone, which he gloated about on Twitter after losing. You have all these plays. The defense stepped up, and the offense had a chance to go and win the game at the end. Minus Jamar Chase, you've got a shot to win against one of the best teams in the AFC on the last drive of the game. And you come up short. And this is really what I think I've been trying to get at around the Bengals for months, maybe a year and a half on this podcast. It's a loser attitude there. The attitude trickles down from the owners. And we talked about the Brown family, the Blackburn family. They're not going anywhere. Unless we blow this show the heck up and I can pull together about $5.7 billion, the lowest value team in the league, by the way, then unless I can buy the Bengals, I don't know if the Brown family are ever going to sell the team. They're the problem. It all trickles down from the owner. And they got this fear-based thinking. It's at this point, it's not personal for me. It's been personal for a long time because this franchise has caused me and hundreds of thousands of others so much pain over the year, millions of others. But you're not going to get rid of the owners. And loser owners are going to hire loser executives. Loser executives are going to gravitate toward loser coaches and put together loser scout departments. And they're going to pick loser players like Geno Stone, like Shamar Stewart, like Jordan Battle. Cam Taylor-Britt got all the ability in the world. Feel like he's got the mentality of a loser, at least at this juncture. Are we trying to spread love on this show? You understand? I'm just trying to tell the truth as well. It does not look to me like a lot of guys who are a part of this team take their job as seriously as they should. You got Zach Taylor, poor Zach Taylor. I mean, bless his heart. I feel bad for him because he's fighting such an uphill battle and he doesn't do himself much good. You know, I just, maybe the pain from losing is speaking through me right now. Because I don't know any of these people personally. I just have had the displeasure of following the team my entire life. And I believe sincerely that the Bengals have reached a new low. People talk about the 90s all the time. I have Bengals fans on TikTok commenting on my videos saying, when I ran about them, saying, you must not have lived through the 90s. You look too young to have seen this 90s Bengals team, this 90s Bengals franchise. And they're right. But it's one thing, when I was a young boy, the University of Kentucky's football program was much in the state that it's in right now, maybe even worse. Kentucky football was very bad until Rich Brooks put together a couple recruiting classes, and they got really good in 2007. Started making bowl games. Never really were contenders. That 2017 was the best team I think Kentucky football's ever had. But before then, it was just losing and losing and losing. And I'm telling you, growing up around a team that you know is going to lose, it's a lot better to me than seeing a team with so much ability, so much God-given talent in the Cincinnati Bengals, and watching them find a way to lose. It's nothing to do with the physical or athletic makeup of these guys on the Cincinnati Bengals. It's nothing to do with that. It's between the ears. It's the mentality. And furthermore, it's the spirit that really helps you win, not just in football, but in life. It's why I love football so much. It's a microcosm of life. And if you don't have the right attitude, if you don't have the right mentality, if you don't have a spiritual attachment to the thing it is that you are doing, you're not going to win. You just are not going to win. So this is a mental issue, with a collective mental issue, a collective spiritual issue that trickles down from ownership with the Cincinnati Bengals. That's the only way, the only explainable way I can put it, as to how they continue to find a way to lose, especially in the last 3 years. So we'll get more into that. I guess that's the intro to the show. A little 15-minute monologue on what's hurting me right now. Because I said I wasn't going to watch this team, and let's get on into Burrow, man. Let's get on into the elephant in the room. Look, Joe Flacco has been completely serviceable during his time as a starter. Completely stepped in, was a consummate professional, did his job, did what was asked of him, and probably more. I hope he stays with Cincinnati, and I hope he and Joe Burrow develop a relationship that makes Burrow a better player than he maybe could be without having someone like Flacco in the room. But I said it on the podcast on Thursday, and it was announced Saturday that Joe Burrow would not be activated off IR and that Joe Flacco would start the game Sunday against the Patriots. I said it on this show last week, Thursday, that if the Bengals don't start Burrow against the Patriots and try to win out, go 10-7, that they're idiots if they bring Joe Burrow back. They're idiots. And lo and behold, Flacco gets the start on Sunday. Cincinnati finds a way to lose, even though the defense put up an incredible performance based on the first 10 games. And the running game. Chase Brown ran for more than 100 yards. It seemed like every time they were handing Chase Brown the ball, he was getting 6 to 8, 4 to 6. Every time it seemed automatic. I think he reached that century mark late in the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken. I was sitting in a diner, man. I found this little spot, Ronnie's, over on Cactus Road. And I was sitting in the diner eating pancakes and eggs and bacon, listening to this game in my earbuds. That's peak male form, is going to have a nice meal to yourself with some football playing in your ear. That's how I was following this game. And so the two areas for the Bengals that were so heavily criticized at the beginning of the year, the run game first, and then the defense fell apart after the Green Bay game. And both of those phases, both of those aspects of the game for the Bengals yesterday were playing comparatively at a pretty high level. The run game especially was at a high level, period, comparing it to nothing. Point blank, the run game was humming for the Bengals yesterday. And they still find a way to lose. Shedeur Sanders gets his first. So, before I go there, I said that the Bengals will prove their idiocy if they do not start Burrow against New England and then bring him back for the rest of the season. Even if the Bengals run the table, win the last 6, some people are saying they'll have a chance to win the division. But I still think they're going to be outside looking in, man. Pittsburgh dropped the game to Chicago. Aaron Rodgers typically owns the Bears, but not this weekend. I was shocked to see that score. I didn't get to listen to it or even see highlights, but the Bears won that 31-28. And Shedeur Sanders, we'll get to him. But the Bengals, true to form, are doing exactly what I said would be the most idiotic thing they could possibly do in bringing Joe Burrow back. And Zach Taylor was asked about this, and he said, we're just trying to get some wins under the belt. We're just trying to get some momentum. And they say, how do you get momentum? We stack a few wins, and Joe Burrow gives us the best chance to win. It just seems lost, man. Now, if you beat Baltimore twice, they're at the top. Pittsburgh, not playing good football. Cleveland, getting a win against a struggling Las Vegas Raiders team. Shedeur Sanders, I think, was the first quarterback to win in his first start for Cleveland in 31 years. That's a statistic. That's a franchise-altering potential game for Shedeur Sanders. I'm sipping on this. I don't know if you guys could see it. 12th Man. I was in College Station, Texas this weekend with my old teammates, old fraternity brothers. We watched our Samford Bulldogs get beat by the 11-0 Texas A&M Aggies. Beat us 48-0. Their starters were out after the first quarter. My alumni football program, the Samford Bulldogs, finished the season 1-11. And they've absolutely decimated the coaching staff over there. They let my old ball coach, Chris Hatcher, go about 2 or 3 weeks ago instead of letting him finish the season. And then every single coach or operations guy or video guy associated with Coach Hatcher was let go either today or yesterday after the game. And it was a very sad thing. I don't agree with the direction that my alma mater is going. And it just seems like our athletic director is very basketball-centric when I think that you have the ability, you have the potential at a small school in Birmingham to build a football program that contends. But I'm not agreeing with the way that a lot of my old coaches, a lot of my old staff members have been treated, and there was absolutely no fight in my Samford Bulldogs against Texas A&M either. It was just a foregone conclusion. We went to the midnight yell at Texas A&M on the Friday night at midnight. The fans go to the stadium, and it's basically a pep rally. And Texas A&M has got these cheers they do where, like, they'll bend over. Seriously, they'll bend over, and they'll all be bent over, or they'll do this. And they don't have any female cheerleaders. They don't have any girl cheerleaders. All their cheerleaders, all their pep people, I forget what they call them, cadets, they're real zesty. They're gay. And you got these guys on the mic at this midnight yell at Texas A&M the night before their game. And I'm telling you, you got this guy on the mic. He's walking around. He's like, yeah, I heard that if you're a Samford Bulldog that you go to KFC. Samford Bulldogs are ugly. Just literally Andy Dalton could give a better hype pump-up speech than this guy at this midnight yell at Texas A&M. It was gay, okay? I'm going to say it like it is. It was really gay. Now, I said, dude, you need to get a damn black guy on that mic. You need to get Pastor Troy on that mic and get some juice going in the building, because it all felt forced. And the weirdest part is they're number 3 in the nation. They're 11-0. You shouldn't have to. It shouldn't feel forced to get hype for this football team, and it felt that way at Texas A&M. It was very weird. People talk about it being culty and stuff like that. It's very weird. And they don't have girl cheerleaders, and these guys, they wear like these like white. It's like it looks like a prison outfit, except it's all white, and they got like a towel hanging out of the back of their butt. And the fans, they all like bend over, and they do this. And we asked a couple of them at one of the bars later that night. It was like, what does this mean? And it means exactly what you think it does. So what's the they got a fascination with butts, I guess, over at Texas A&M. Putting things in butts. I don't know what's going on over there. I really don't. But I wanted to go home 5 minutes into this midnight yell, this pep rally on Friday night at Texas A&M's in the stadium, so you get a good look at this big stadium. I think they're the third or fourth biggest stadium in America. So it was cool. It was cool to head down to the game. My Samford Bulldogs, absolutely no fight in them against Texas A&M, hanging heads. I would have liked to have seen at least somebody grab a face mask, start a little scuffle. But these A&M guys on defense, their defense is complex, and they got some players on that defense at Texas A&M. Big boys, big, powerful guys they had over there at Texas A&M. So if you start a fight with one of them, just know that you got pads on. They can't hurt you that bad with that metal face mask if you get punched. Maybe you get a little whiplash. But they had some big, big boys on that Texas A&M defensive front and the linebackers. I wish the Bengals would look at one of those guys instead of two tackles, Shamar Stewart. Burning draft picks like they grow on trees. Shedeur Sanders. Also, I got ran. I think this rubbed me the wrong way a bit too. I got run into by a guy on an electric scooter. It kind of pissed me off a little bit because he cussed at me like it was his fault, like it was my fault. But he was riding on the left side of the road, going the wrong way in the bike lane. And I didn't tense up, nothing. I had no idea it was coming. And he hit me. And apparently he got knocked back. He was real shocked. Probably just pissed off from shock. But he was probably going 20, 25 miles an hour. And according to my friends, I knocked his ass back without seeing him, without hearing him. And he's coming at me full speed. Ridiculous. So that kind of pissed me off. I was like, is this the kind of ship you guys are running over here at Texas A&M? And, I think Georgia's going to win the national championship this year. That's my pick. If it's not Ole Miss, it's Georgia. And the reason why is that my old ball coach, Coach Chris Hatcher, has been in the building. He gave Kirby Smart, my ball coach, Chris Hatcher, gave Kirby Smart, Georgia's head coach, his first job at Valdosta State. Back in the 90s, I believe. And so Kirby, running the program he's running over at Georgia, I imagine was one of the first to call my old ball coach, Hatch, after Samford let him go. And according to my people, Coach Hatch is in the building at offensive meetings at UGA in Athens, and he's been there all week. And I love the way this Georgia defense plays, guys. I love it. My buddy, one of my best buds, he was an operations assistant, I believe, at Georgia the season they won it all. I think that was 21, 22, maybe it was 3. I can't remember which year Georgia won it when they beat TCU. I was at that game. He was in the building, and he said that Kirby calls them Bloody Tuesdays. Oh, my gosh, puppy. Oh, my gosh. This is my dog. This is my dog. Hello, dog. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. It's picking up on the mic, bud. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. What are you doing? What are you up to? Yep, this is my pup. He's normally camera shy. So they have Bloody Tuesdays over there at Georgia where they just pound each other. We heard Urban Meyer talking about this on the Triple Option podcast he's got with Mark Ingram. It's a pretty good pod if you want to stay up on college football. But Urban Meyer was talking about how the great programs these days go all out on Tuesdays. In Urban Meyer's Florida programs, those great teams, he talked about how if he walked, he would make sure to walk into the locker room after a Tuesday practice, and if guys weren't on the floor in front of their lockers, then he knows that he didn't beat them up enough that day. And so you see this. Ryan Day does this at Ohio State. They probably have a name for Tuesday practices. Georgia, I know for a fact, has this name for their Tuesday practices, Bloody Tuesdays. Bloody Tuesdays. And you just go straight inside drill for an hour. You guys have heard me talk about inside drill on this show before. It was the segment of practice where you got your offensive line, your defensive line, your quarterback, your running back, your set of linebackers, and maybe one slot guy in tight with one DB on him. And you run. You run inside zones. You run ISOs. You run trap. You run counters. Maybe a sweep here or there, but it's all, for the most part, in the box. Stand and bang, motherfuckers. That's inside drill. That's your proving ground when you're a trenches guy, when you're a linebacker, and an O-lineman. Running backs, you gotta be physical as well. It's the most physical period of any football team's practice. Georgia, Bloody Tuesdays, they run inside drill for an hour. And just bang, bang, trench work. Because that is the foundation of this game. Inside drill is the antithesis of the 7-on-7 shit. 7-on-7 culture. Now, I hated coverage, so I'm a little biased against 7-on-7. But I do think that these kids that only play 7-on-7, you got quarterbacks at 7-on-7. You don't take a snap. You don't take a drop. You just, with the ball and take one step back. You got no depth. It throws off the timing. And these receivers, they start thinking it's a different kind of game because they're not dealing with any contact. Inside drill is the antithesis of that. And you see where Georgia is as a program. You think the Bengals are doing that shit? You really think the bottom echelon of teams in the NFL or teams that are underachieving run inside drill? They probably can't run it an hour a day. There's probably a ton of restrictions. And this is why the game is changing. This is why I sound like a boomer, but this is why we don't have the same game. We don't have guys with the same toughness. I'm not saying there's not guys out there that aren't tough. There's tons of them. But on the macro, receivers feel like they can jaw a lot because they can come across the middle and not be hit. The Patriots tight ends had a field day against the Bengals secondary up the middle of the field. And that was really the biggest weak spot of the Bengals defense yesterday. Only allowed 19 points. And I got to run to jiu-jitsu here in a little bit, guys. We came on a little late. That's on me, but we're here. We're doing the thing. I'm sipping on this 12th man. Let me tell you guys, Texas A&M is gay. They are gay. I want Texas to beat them next week. And I'm all about SEC dominance in the playoff. But golly, if your cheers feel forced and your team's 11-0, there's something wrong there. I can't really explain it beyond that. So anyways, I'm going to look at the chat here. 5 straight games with 100-plus yards from scrimmage. Chase Brown, most underrated running back in the league, I think. He's been playing great, man. And my computer battery's starting to get low as well. I got to run to jiu-jitsu, so we're going to run through the chat very quick. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, by the way, if you're watching and you're not subscribed. A lot of times people watch shows and think they're subscribed, but they are not. If you're watching this in the shorts feed, there should be a real easy button right there. If it says subscribe and it's white, then you haven't subscribed yet. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. If you don't do either, don't let the dough hit your ass on the way out. Chase Brown playing great. Bengals offensive line completely cleaned it up. They were heavily criticized the first couple weeks of the season, and they've completely cleaned that run game up. They have been humming, and it just doesn't make sense. It makes sense. I explained it earlier in the episode. By the way, you can get all replays of this show on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, audio platforms, big or small, Spotify, Amazon Music, literally anywhere for podcasts. I got to update that shit. The running game's been great. It was incredible yesterday how well they're running the ball. Zach Taylor's just trying to keep his job. I think that's why he wants to play him. And then we'll just end up with a mediocre record again. We'll get a mediocre draft pick. We'll blow the draft pick, and then we'll repeat all this next year. Nothing's going to change in Cincinnati, guys. I hate to tell you. I hate to say it myself. Nothing's going to change, and we're not getting new ownership, and that's why nothing's going to change. We're not going to, but we got to push them out. We got to pull together $5.7 billion or something. Try and go buy this freaking team. Lowest value team in the NFL, by the way. Why not Ohio State? They look dominant. I'm not sure what you're asking about. Ohio State is national championship. Yeah, that's just my SEC bias, brother. I think Georgia would be able to bang with Ohio State. I think Alabama might be able to give them a run for their money. I'm SEC biased. We're not denying that on this show. We are SEC biased. That's part of why I didn't say Ohio State. There's a reason why we can't stop the run or pass over the middle. They're afraid to hit. They're afraid of contact. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, man. You got it. Kirby Smart at Georgia is having success because of Bloody Tuesdays. Ryan Day is having success at Ohio State because they probably have some similar variation of Bloody Tuesdays. And that's confirmed. Inside drill, run game, smash, bang, hit. An hour on Tuesdays. And I think there's probably a lot of restrictions with the NFLPA that don't allow them to do as much of that anymore. And that's why players aren't tough. And that's why you see units like the Bengals secondary not having that physicality. Okay, guys, I got to go. My computer's getting low on battery. I got to go to jiu-jitsu. I'm late. So we'll see you guys tomorrow. No Madden stream tonight, but we are going to be back heavily on those. Look out for live game reactions as well. I'm setting that up in the works. We're looking to bring on more guests. So if you're watching and you're not subscribed, I don't know why the hell you wouldn't. But we're going to do some live games. We're going to try our hand at calling games for you guys. You can listen to it while you're watching and mute it. See what I mean? So anyways, all that stuff's coming here on this channel. If you don't subscribe, I don't know why the hell you wouldn't. Because the algorithm would have brought you here if you didn't like football. And if you like football, you're going to love our channel. So subscribe here on YouTube, Kick, Twitch, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok. Bang, bang, bang. We'll see you guys.